Long ago, humans were part of a great alliance of many different species. They shared knowledge, technology, and helped each other in times of trouble. Humanity was proud to be part of this alliance. They dreamed of exploring the stars and building a peaceful future with others. But that hope did not last. A terrible plague appeared. It spread quickly across many planets. It was a new disease unlike anything the Alliance had seen before. The plague killed millions and no one could stop it. The leaders of the Alliance grew scared. They made a hard decision. To save themselves, they would leave behind the humans. The leaders said humans were weak and slow to fight the disease. So they left Earth and its people alone, to die. Earth was cut off from the rest of the galaxy. The communications stopped. Ships carrying supplies and help never came. The Alliance turned its back and moved on. Humanity was abandoned. At first, people were shocked and angry. They did not understand why their friends had left. But they had no choice. They had to survive on their own. Life on Earth became very hard. The plague did not disappear. It stayed in small parts of the planet, making people sick for years. Food was scarce. Many cities were destroyed and many people died. But humans had one thing that no one could take away: hope. The survivors worked together. Scientists and doctors worked day and night trying to find cures. Engineers fixed machines and created new tools. Farmers grew food in greenhouses. People protected each other. Slowly, they learned how to live with the plague, how to keep it from spreading too fast. Years passed. Earth became a different place. Many old buildings were gone, replaced by new shelters made with strong materials. Humans created underground cities where the air was clean and safe. They built farms with lights to grow plants inside. The planet was still tough, but humans were tougher. More than just surviving, humans started to change. The constant struggle made their bodies stronger. Their minds became sharper. They learned new skills and found ways to use technology better than before. Children born in this time grew up knowing only a world where danger was everywhere, and that made them brave. Q. Humans did not forget the Alliance. They remembered the betrayal and the pain. But they also remembered something else. They had to be better. They could not stay weak. They could not wait for help that would never come. A new generation of leaders rose, smart, determined, and full of fire. They wanted to show the galaxy that humans were not weak. They wanted to show that leaving them to die was the greatest mistake the Alliance had ever made. Meanwhile, deep in space, some humans escaped Earth. Small groups traveled to other planets, searching for places to live. They used old ships and patched them up with whatever they could find. These colonists faced new dangers, harsh climates, strange creatures, and isolation. But they survived. Over centuries, these scattered colonies grew into new human worlds. Each colony was different but shared the same spirit: strong, brave, and proud. They sent messages in secret, slowly building a hidden network. They shared technology, stories, and dreams. Back on Earth, the original humans watched the stars. They knew their time would come. They prepared quietly, learning to build ships faster and weapons stronger. They studied the stars for signs of the Alliance waiting for the right moment. Then came a day when a young scientist named Mira found something incredible. In the ruins of an old space station, she discovered a hidden message, a record left by the Alliance. It was not what anyone expected. The message said the plague was no accident. It was created by a group inside the Alliance who wanted to stop humans from growing stronger. They were afraid humans would become too powerful and challenge the old order. So they made a secret plan to destroy humanity. Mira shared the message with the leaders. The room was silent. The truth was bitter and deep, but it also gave new strength to the people. They were not victims. They were survivors and fighters. They would not forget. They would make sure those who betrayed them paid the price. The leaders made a plan. They would not rush into war. They would grow stronger first. They would learn more about the Alliance's weaknesses. They would prepare carefully and quietly. Then when the time was right, they would return, not as the abandoned and weak species, but as a powerful force ready to take back what was theirs. Mira looked out at the stars that night. The sky was full of lights, distant suns, unknown worlds. Somewhere out there, the Alliance lived on, unaware of the storm coming their way. She whispered to herself, "They left us to die, but now, it's payback time." After centuries of hardship and isolation, humanity was no longer the weak species the Galactic Alliance had left behind. The survivors had grown stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever. On Earth and on distant colonies scattered across the stars, humans were preparing for a future where they would no longer be forgotten. Hidden from the Alliance's watchful eyes, human colonies had built secret cities, developed new technology, and formed a silent but powerful network. They shared their knowledge through encrypted channels, moving messages faster than the Alliance's spies could detect. These colonies had their own leaders, scientists, generals, and explorers, all united by one goal: to bring humanity back to the galaxy, not as a weak victim, but as a force to be reckoned with. One such colony was Ardent 9, a planet far beyond the Alliance's usual trade routes. Its surface was harsh, with rocky deserts and violent storms, but the humans who lived there thrived. They had built underground cities protected by strong shields and equipped with advanced technology. The people of Ardent 9 trained every day in combat, engineering, and strategy. They knew the Alliance would never welcome them back without a fight. Among the leaders of Ardent 9 was Commander Jalen, a man who had lost his family when the Alliance abandoned Earth. His eyes burned with a quiet fire. Jalen believed that the time had come for humanity to rise. But he also knew that rushing into battle without preparation would lead to disaster. "Strength alone is not enough," Jalen said to his council one evening. "We must be smart. We must learn the Alliance's weaknesses and use them against them." The council nodded. They agreed to send small teams on secret missions to gather information from Alliance-controlled space. These missions were dangerous. Spies risked capture, torture, or death. But the reward was worth it. Among the spies was a young woman named Lyra. She was quick, clever, and fearless. Her mission was to infiltrate an Alliance research station and find out what weapons they were developing. Lyra moved like a shadow through the station's corridors, hacking into secure databases and downloading files. Every step was tense, but she never hesitated. When she returned to Ardent 9, Lyra brought back valuable information. The Alliance was working on a new type of energy weapon, one that could destroy entire fleets. This weapon could end humanity's fight before it began. Jalen studied the data carefully. "We cannot let them use this against us. We must develop our own defenses." The colony's scientists worked day and night. They built new shields, improved their ship's speed and stealth, and created powerful drones. Slowly, humanity's secret fleet grew stronger and more advanced. Meanwhile, on Earth, the heart of humanity, life had changed too. The underground cities had expanded, filled with people who no longer lived in fear, but in hope. Schools taught children about the Alliance's betrayal and humanity's rise. Art, music, and culture flourished despite the harsh conditions. Mira, the scientist who had discovered the Alliance's dark secret, now led a team of researchers. They focused on improving communication systems and building new ships capable of long-distance travel. Their work was crucial. The galaxy was vast and humanity needed to connect its scattered colonies. One day, Mira received a message from Ardent 9. The Alliance was growing suspicious of unusual activity near their borders. It was only a matter of time before they discovered humanity's secret. "We must act faster," Mira said to her team. "If the Alliance finds us first, it could mean the end of everything we've built." Jalen sent a fleet of stealth ships to Earth's orbit to protect the planet. The Alliance's patrols had already started to increase, searching for any sign of rebellion. The humans waited, prepared for the moment when they would reveal themselves to the galaxy. They knew the Alliance would try to crush them quickly, but humanity was ready. As the sun set on Earth, Mira looked up at the stars, imagining the vast Alliance fleets that had once ignored her people. Now those fleets would face the unexpected, the rise of the forgotten, and humanity would fight not just to survive but to take its place in the stars. The quiet of space was shattered by sudden flashes of light and deep echoing explosions. Humanity's hidden fleet, born from decades of secret work and sacrifice, had finally made its move. The first strike was not just a battle, it was a message. Commander Jalen stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolve, his eyes fixed on the holographic display of enemy ships. The Alliance's supply convoy moved slowly, carrying weapons and resources from their central worlds to distant colonies. Tonight, those supplies would never reach their destination. "This is the moment we've trained for," Jalen said calmly, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. "Remember, we hit hard, then disappear. No unnecessary risks." The fleet moved like shadows through the void, cloaked by the advanced stealth technology developed in secret on Ardent 9 and Earth. The Alliance patrol ships were caught off guard. They had never seen anything like this before. Fast, silent, and precise. Lyra, now a skilled pilot and spy, led a squadron of fighters. Her ship darted between enemy vessels, launching quick strikes to disable their engines and communication systems. Explosions rocked the convoy, but the human fleet stayed coordinated. The Alliance scrambled to respond. Their commanders were shocked. How could these forgotten humans strike so boldly after centuries of silence? As the battle raged, Jalen's fleet targeted the supply ships carrying the new energy weapons discovered by Lyra. Destroying these would cripple the Alliance's advantage. Despite fierce resistance, the human fleet's training and technology gave them the edge. Within hours, the convoy was in ruins. Fires burned on the surviving ships, and the Alliance forces retreated in confusion. Back on Earth, Mira watched the battle from the command center. The room was tense but filled with hope. She tracked every movement, relaying orders to support ships and prepare for possible retaliation. When the final explosion lit up the display, a cheer rose among the humans. After centuries of waiting and suffering, humanity had struck back. But Jalen knew this was only the beginning. The Alliance would not forget this attack. They would hunt the humans across the stars, trying to crush their rebellion before it grew. "Too strong. Prepare for their response," Jalen ordered. "We fight smart. We fight united." In the days that followed, the Alliance launched several counterattacks. Their ships were bigger and better armed, but they were slow to adapt to the guerrilla tactics the humans used. The human fleet moved quickly, striking where least expected, then vanishing into the darkness. Lyra's squadron became famous among the colonies. Stories of their daring missions spread, inspiring others to join the fight. Even on Earth, people listened to the radio broadcasts, their hearts filled with pride. But the cost was high. Many brave pilots and crew did not return from missions. Each loss was mourned, but the humans knew sacrifice was part of the price of freedom. One night, while planning their next move, Mira received a coded message from a deep space probe. The Alliance was gathering a massive fleet near a strategic star system called Vespera, a gateway to many human colonies. "This is their next target," Mira said. "If they control Vespera, they can cut off our colonies and isolate Earth." Jalen nodded. "Then we must strike first. We cannot let them trap us." A bold plan was formed. The human fleet would attack Vespera's defense stations, breaking the Alliance's grip. It was a risky move, but it was their only chance to protect their homes and keep the fight alive. As the fleet prepared to jump into Alliance space, Jalen stood before his crew. "We fight not just for revenge," he said, "but for every child born in the darkness, every family who lost everything. We fight to show the galaxy that humanity will never be forgotten again." The ships vanished into the stars, moving swiftly toward Vespera. The battle for the future had only just begun. The stars around the Vespera system shone cold and distant as the human fleet approached. Commander Jalen stood on the bridge of the Resolve, watching the Alliance's massive defense stations glow like silent sentinels against the dark backdrop of space. The battle to secure this gateway to humanity's scattered colonies was about to begin, and with it, a deeper truth was about to surface. The Resolve's communications officer, Tessa, tapped her console urgently. "Commander, we're picking up encrypted Alliance transmissions. They're discussing something unusual." Jalen narrowed his eyes. "Can you decrypt it?" Tessa's fingers flew over the controls. After tense minutes, the message began to reveal itself. It spoke not of fleet movements or battle plans, but of a secret project. A project tied directly to humanity's downfall. "Commander," Tessa said, voice low, "this message confirms what Mira found earlier. The plague that nearly wiped out humanity was not natural, it was engineered." Jalen clenched his jaw. "By who?" Tessa hesitated, then continued. "By a secret faction within the Alliance's ruling council. They feared humanity's rapid growth and intelligence. They saw us as a threat to their power. So they created the plague to eliminate us." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. The truth was darker than anyone had imagined. Jalen looked around at his officers. "This changes everything. We're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting against a lie, against betrayal on a scale no one could believe." Meanwhile, in the Alliance's command center on the nearby station, Admiral Kren stared at a similar message. His face was grim. "This faction within our own ranks," Kren muttered, "has doomed us all. If the humans find out, the Alliance will crumble from within." Back on the Resolve, Jalen made a decision. "We must use this knowledge wisely. If the Alliance fractures, we can turn their own people against the rulers who betrayed us." He called Mira via secure channel. "Mira, prepare a broadcast. The galaxy needs to hear the truth. But we must be careful. This could change everything." Mira's voice came through, steady but intense. "Understood, Commander. This will be the turning point." As the human fleet began its assault on Vespera's defense stations, a fierce battle erupted. Energy beams cut through space, shields flickered under attack, and explosions lit the darkness. The Alliance fought hard, but the humans' determination and surprise tactics gave them the upper hand. During the fight, Lyra piloted her fighter with precision, taking down enemy turrets and covering her comrades. Suddenly, her ship's sensors detected an unexpected signal, an Alliance officer broadcasting a secret message to a hidden rebel group within the Alliance. Lyra relayed the message to Jalen. It revealed that many Alliance soldiers and commanders were disillusioned, tired of the corruption and lies. Some even secretly supported humanity's cause. "This could be the break we need," Jalen said, eyes bright. "Contact them carefully. We need allies inside the enemy." Over the next days, secret communications flowed between humans and Alliance rebels. They shared plans, information, and hope. The Alliance's unity was cracking, and humanity's fight was becoming more than just revenge. It was a fight for justice and truth. But the secret faction that engineered the plague was not willing to lose power without a fight. They began using every tool at their disposal, propaganda, assassinations, and brutal crackdowns, to stop the rebellion and crush humanity. In one desperate move, they sent a massive fleet toward Earth, intending to destroy the planet once and for all. The humans and their new Alliance rebels had only hours to prepare. Jalen gathered his commanders. "This is the moment we've feared. The fate of Earth and our people depends on what we do next." The human fleet moved to intercept the enemy. The battle was fierce, testing everything humanity had built. But with the help of their new allies inside the Alliance, they managed to turn the tide. After hours of fighting, the enemy fleet retreated, battered and broken. Earth was safe. For now. As the dust settled, Jalen stood on the bridge looking at the stars with a new sense of purpose. The war was far from over, but now humanity had the truth, allies within the enemy, and a future they would fight for, not just to survive, but to build a new galaxy where no species would ever be abandoned again. The battle for Vespera was over, but the war had only just begun. Humanity and its new allies within the alliance had dealt a heavy blow to the corrupt ruling faction. But that faction was desperate, and it would fight to keep its power. On Earth, the people watched the news with a mix of hope and fear. Children gathered in schools were taught about the great war their ancestors had endured. They heard stories of bravery, sacrifice, and a future built on strength and unity. The planet, once abandoned and broken, was now a symbol of human resilience. Commander Jalen stood before his commanders in the war room aboard the Resolve. Maps of star systems and fleet positions flickered on holographic screens. "We have to protect our colonies," he said firmly. "The Alliance's ruling faction is trying to isolate us, cut us off from each other. If they succeed, they will pick us apart." Mira, standing nearby, nodded. "We must also find a way to expose the traitors and bring the entire Alliance to justice. This war isn't just about us. It's about all species that have been hurt by corruption and lies." Jalen's eyes shone with determination. "Then, we fight. We fight not just for revenge, but for a future where no one is left behind." Their next target was a key Alliance stronghold, a massive space station called Citadel Prime. It was the heart of the ruling faction's power, a fortress surrounded by fleets and armed with the most advanced defenses in the galaxy. The human fleet prepared for a siege. Engineers worked on new weapons, soldiers trained day and night, and strategists planned every move. Among the soldiers was Kale, a young pilot who had joined the fight after losing his family to the plague. His determination burned bright. "This is our chance," he told his squadron, "to show the galaxy who we really are." As the fleet approached Citadel Prime, they were met with a wall of fire. The station's defenses were unlike anything the humans had faced. Energy beams tore through space and automated turrets fired relentlessly. The battle was brutal. Ships exploded in bright flashes, debris scattered across the void. Kyle's fighter weaved through enemy fire, targeting missile launchers and shielding weak points. Inside the station, rebels working with the humans sabotaged systems and opened gates for boarding teams. The fight was fierce and close. Commander Jalen led the main assault. With his flagship's powerful weapons and the support of Allied forces inside the station, they broke through the outer defenses. But victory came at a cost. Many brave soldiers fell, and the station's destruction threatened to cause a massive chain reaction that could destroy nearby colonies. Jalen made a tough choice. "We evacuate civilians first," he ordered. "Then we finish the mission." The evacuation was tense, with enemy ships attacking the fleeing transports, but the humans held their ground, protecting their people above all else. Finally, the station's core was destroyed, and the ruling faction's grip on the Alliance weakened. Communications flooded with messages from Alliance worlds demanding peace and change. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted, but Jalen knew the war was not over. The corrupt leaders might be broken, but the galaxy was still fragile. Mira joined him on the command bridge. "We've made enemies, but we've also made friends," she said. "Now we must build something better." Jalen looked out at the stars. A future where no one is left behind. The story of humanity's rise was far from finished. Their fight had changed the galaxy forever. The war had left scars across the galaxy, but it also opened a new chapter for humanity and its allies. After the fall of the corrupt ruling faction, the Alliance was no longer the same. It was fragile, unsure, and searching for a new path. On Earth, people gathered in the great halls built from the ruins of the old world. Children played in parks that were once battlefields. The air was filled with hope and determination. The planet had survived abandonment and betrayal, and now it stood as a symbol of renewal. Commander Jalen stood on a platform overlooking the crowd. His uniform was clean and proud, but his eyes carried the weight of years of struggle. "We have fought hard and lost much," Jalen said, his voice clear and strong. "But today we begin a new journey. A journey not of revenge, but of peace, respect, and unity." Beside him, Mira smiled softly. "We are no longer the forgotten. We are the future." The new Alliance Council included representatives from many species, humans, former Alliance members, and even those who once worked for the corrupt faction but chose to change. They met to decide how to rebuild a galaxy that had been divided for too long. One of the first acts was to create a new charter. This charter promised that no species would ever be abandoned or left to suffer alone. It guaranteed equal rights, shared knowledge, and protection for all worlds. Meanwhile, human scientists continued their work, not for war, but for healing and growth. They developed new technology to repair damaged planets, clean polluted skies, and improve health across species. Lyra, now a respected leader, traveled between colonies, spreading the message of hope and cooperation. She met with children who dreamed of exploring space, reminding them that the stars were open to all. Kale, once a young pilot filled with anger, had become a teacher, training new generations in the ways of courage and wisdom. He told stories of battles fought and lessons learned, reminding everyone that strength comes not only from weapons but from heart. As the years passed, old wounds slowly healed. Former enemies became friends, trade routes reopened, and cultural exchanges flourished. The galaxy, once darkened by betrayal, now shone with new light. One night, Jalen stood alone on a hill outside the capital city on Earth. The stars twinkled above, endless and bright. He thought about the long journey, the pain, the loss, the victories. "They left us to die," he whispered to the night. "But we survived. We rose." Mira joined him quietly. "And now it's payback time. Not with war, but with hope." Together, they looked up at the stars, dreaming of a future where no one would be forgotten again.